Howdy, race fans. Let me put that away. Howdy. Welcome to my little show about racing I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. And as always, In the Pits comes to you here on YouTube on Wednesdays when I feel like it, because I have no sponsor to tell me what to do. So, first things first. Happy birthday, Jamie, my brother. Maybe some of y'all remember him. Maybe you met him last year when he came up for the Dennis Smitham Memorial 100. He was also a guest on the show about this time last year. You might remember. So, happy birthday, brother. So, on with the show. Happy birthday, Jamie. Anyway, so Friday was all practice, all day, starting early in the morning with F1 at Monza in Italy. Defending champion Lewis Hamilton, my favorite, was fastest, but the Ferraris were strong on their home track. A little later, on the same channel, NBCSN, was practice for Throwback Weekend at Darlington, South Carolina for the NASCAR Sprint Cup and Xfinity Series is at the track Too Tough to Tame, the Lady in Black. It was fun to see all the throwback car liveries from the past. My favorite was Junior's. That is the number 17 David Pearson 1968-69 championship blue and gold paint scheme of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Oh, and Dale Jr.'s throwback Valvoline colors were real nice also. I read that he plans to do some more throwback paint schemes next year. And also Kyle Larson's paint scheme throwback there to Mellow Yellow was excellent also. So it was a lot of fun. Also on Friday, I had time to put together, while I was watching all this practice, put together and post to YouTube the old 2010 Dennis Smitham Memorial 100 won by Dave Lund. So for that video, in which number 79, Mike Press, finished in third place, that has over 30 views already. And I mention it because of the really touching memorial lap that South Sound Speedway allowed Brian Bykirk to drive in that very same number 79 around the 3/8 mile before the qualifying races there on Saturday. Mike Press had many, many fans and friends. But first on Saturday was the Xfinity 200-mile race at the Lady in Black, Darlington Speedway. Little Denny Hamlin was on the pole in the number 20 Joe Gibbs Toyota, and he led most of the race. Happy Harvick was there in a Dale Jr. Motorsports number 88 Camaro and led some laps, but it was mostly a Joe Gibbs Racing sort of day. With Joe Gibbs equipment in the top, three finishing spots there. There was some excitement when Xfinity regular driver there, Daniel Suarez from Monterrey, Mexico, led some in his number 18 Gibbs Camry towards the end of the race there, but he was overtaken by his two Cup teammates, Hamlin, who was on a different pit strategy for the win, and the Toad in his Monster Camry for second place. Suarez still won himself and a fan an extra $100,000 in Xfinity cash for being the highest eligible Xfinity driver in the race. Xfinity points leader Chris Buescher finished 5th and still leads the driver points, while Ty Dillon, who finished 15th in his grandfather's Camaro, moved up to 2nd in driver points over Chase Elliott, now in 3rd because of his 24th place finish 3 laps down after problems late in the race that last year that he won as a rookie on his way to the championship. The next Xfinity race is at Richmond on Friday night. Well, evening here. Let me get me a quick Sterling drink there. After the Xfinity race, my wife and I headed down to South Speedway for an interesting evening of racing, qualifying, and unfortunately some wrecking along with it. There was one late model driver that was involved in every caution in one of the Dennis Smitham Memorial 100 qualifiers. Personally, I would rather not see drivers go wreck mode in any race, much less a qualifier race. Racing is what I go to see at a racetrack. I would rather leave the wrecking out of it altogether. But mostly it was a good first night of racing with the Legends, Baby Grands, and Vintage Modifieds, along with the two 25-lap qualifying races for the Dennis Smitham Memorial coming the next day. Okay. The Legends main was also a qualifier for the National Legends divisions there. After that race was still a 20-lap shootout for the top 8 late model qualifiers for a big 500 smackers there. And that was won by two-time Dennis Smitham Memorial winner Dave Lunn in that fast number 27 Cheyenne Scales Chevrolet. Another big paycheck was earned on Saturday by Chad Hinkle in the number 55, who not only set fast time, but at 14.428 seconds, he set a new track record for the limited late model street stock class, and he got to make friends with Benjamin Franklin. Okay, after the shootout, I spent a little time back in the pits, getting the post-race news there and checking on the Max Schroeder racing team after their first attempt at late model, limited late model racing. That did not go very well. Though the Schroeders did not make the main for Sunday night, I can tell good things will come their way by the way the number 29 team performed when they were running the Super 4 late models locally at South Sound and up at Evergreen. Limited late models are a logical step up for full-size race cars there. It just might not seem like it's the best choice at times, but hang in there, learning curve and all that business. Learn from this weekend and keep racing. Same goes for a new Legend driver, favorite driver of mine there, Kevin Conway. I know the weekend was a little bumpy, but you're headed in the right direction, dude, so keep on keeping on. After the trip to the pits, we headed back to Seattle, stopping for a little Walmarting in Lacey. So we got home kind of late. I was only able to catch a couple of hours of Z's there before time for the Grand Prix of Italy at Autodromo Nazionale Monza there. My favorite, Lewis Hamilton, started from the pole and put on another clinic. At the end, he had to push even harder over the rest of the field to compensate for a possible 25-second penalty related to a possible tire pressure problem. Ferrari fans, of which there were everyone there, they were happy with Sebastian Vettel finishing second, and they were okay with Felipe Massa, a former Scuderia driver, finishing in third. Hamilton's teammate had an engine failure, so Hamilton's driver points lead stretched to a Grand Prix and a half's worth of points. But there are still 6 events on the schedule, with the next race at Singapore, Sunday, the 20th of September, which will start here late on the 19th. Oh, and Hamilton did get to keep the win. He won the whatever the controversy was over the tire. And also, if you didn't catch it, Hamilton has dyed his hair blonde. Ah, yes, blondes have more fun. I don't see how he could be having much more fun, folks. After the Grand Prix of Italy, I caught up on a little sleep. Then I got up, set the recording devices for Darlington, and we headed back down to Southtown Speedway through a few light rain showers there. We got down to the track a little early, giving me a little time to visit and schmooze, making the shout-out list for this week even longer. We also had time to indulge in some great race chow. We tried the chili cheese fries for the first time, and we can highly recommend the dish, though it can be messy, so get extra napkins and a fork. The hot chocolate is also very, very good. The first vehicles on the track making laps were the track push trucks after a short light shower passed through during opening ceremonies. But the schedule was hardly slowed, and the spirits of all the race fans on hand were never dampened. Even with the clouds in the sky all night, the race schedule ran unabated after the quick track drying efforts by the South Sound Speedway track crew. Great job, guys. Thanks a lot. Okay, to speed up the program because of the threat of weather, the decision was made to skip the trophy dashes and jump right on into the heat races. So the Baby Grands, Vintage Modifieds, and the Legends got out for the 8-lap sprints. And one of the highlights for me of the night was when Kevin Conway, in his number 36, won in the B heat for the Legends. That was a lot of fun, and it seemed Kevin did well for a pre-rookie later in the 30-lap main, which got cut down from 35 laps because the drivers had a hard time getting going on the second night's feature. But once they got racing, it was pretty interesting, with local favorite Tristan Hyder there winning a heated battle with Dwayne Swanson and Will Rittenauer, who has moved up from the Bumblebees after conquering that division last season as a rookie. The Vintage Modifieds and Baby Grands also had their mains, but the big 2015 Dennis Smitham Memorial 100 was what I was there to see. The invert for the big race was massive. So the fast cars of Chad Hinkle and Dave Lund were buried deep in the field, but both quickly worked their way up through the pack. You know, and that same big invert put number 41, local track late model regular Kevin Carver, on the front row, where he ran for almost the entire race. The invert did not seem to hurt number 51, Glenn Knutson, who came over again from Quincy, Washington, to attempt to defend his victory from just last year in the Dennis Smitham Memorial 100. The race had a fair share of yellow flags, and Kevin Carver was able to hold off the pack on restarts through most of the race, and was able to fend off challenges during the contest by former two-time winner of the Dennis Smith Memorial, Dave Lund, and fast time record holder Chad Hinkle. During a late red flag, a tire on Hinkle's number 55 Lexar Holmes Chevrolet sprang a leak, but he was able to get it changed before the restart, though he had to start in the back for that restart. Chad was able to work his way back up to fourth for a top 5 to close out his late model season. In a late battle against Glenn Knutson, who ran his number 51 Ford up to the front, number 21 Dave Lund unfortunately spun in turn 3, trying to stay off the Quincy driver who was under Lund in the corner. As Lund slipped up, Knutson went on to challenge the track regular there of Kevin Carver for the win. It was, in the last 10 laps, Carver seemed to have a momentary lapse in concentration there in turn 3 because of the constant hounding that he was getting by the Ford of Knutson that led to Carver slip up that allowed Glenn Knutson to get by and repeat as Dennis Smitham Memorial 100 champion for 2015. It was a really good race, folks, even with the cautions, and I already look forward to next year's event. After all, it will coincide with my 60th birthday. So, afterwards, I got to spend a little longer in the pits, and I got a big 2-night list of shout-outs, but first, a little story. I stopped by to see Kevin Conway first back in the pits. We talked for a while, but I left to continue visiting others there around in the area. But before I left, Kevin gave me a South Sound Frisbee that he would have thrown that night to a child out into the crowd if there had been time for an intermission. But with the weather truncated schedule not allowing for time for the Frisbee toss, I got the one that Kevin was to throw. Inside, it had a special note for the recipient to watch in the pits with StockCar Scott on YouTube, just like it says across his Legends trunk. I was glad to accept it and was already making plans to display it here on the set somehow. But that was before I met one little 3-year-old by the name of Ellie and discovered her desire for a Frisbee, for my Frisbee. Well, that trumped any improvement that the Frisbee's presence may have made on set here. So, young Ellie took my Frisbee and the top place in my shout-outs for this week. So let me start by saying, hello, Ellie. I hope you are enjoying playing with your new Frisbee, and it was very, very nice meeting you, Ellie. Thank you again for watching the show. Also, big thank you to Kevin Conway for the Frisbee that made me, StockCar Scott, look like such a good guy in the eyes of a 3-year-old little girl. Also, big shout out to Brad and Carla. Brad waved me over to the pits of the number 93 late model on Friday night to explain they were fans of the show in the pits. Well, Brad and Carla, I am honored to have met you and your friends, Shatana, Bob, and I knew I was going to forget one name. I knew I was going to forget at least one name. Sorry, but don't feel badly. It was a long weekend, and I'm apt to forget my own name sometimes. But to continue, more shout-outs go out to Kirby, who suffered through a birthday on Friday, Chad, Dale, Max, Mike, Marilyn, Kenny, Nathan, Josh, Glenn, a Facebook friend of mine by the name of Robert that met him for the first time, Stormy, Nancy, and Chris, who was way too generous with the shout-out to me, StockCar Scott, there during the Dennis Smitham Memorial. And as always, a big shout out and thank you to Butch and Nick and the whole crew there at South Sound Speedway. Especially the kind lady in the black shirt with the Canadian accent, eh? That let me out of the locked access gate when I stayed at the party too long. Oh, you know, I missed a bunch of people in shout-outs, but forgive me. I am beginning to experience the who are you effect. See, I can't see y'all folks out there in race fan land. You know, the camera only goes one way. You can see me, but I can't see you. So when we meet in the pits or elsewhere, please feel free to remind me who you are. Sometimes even the second time, because, you know, when we meet, you know, you got to remind me because the memory just ain't what it used to be. But I tell you, it was great talking to you, whoever you were. Oh. Okay, after the visit in the pits, my wife and I beat a quick path back to Seattle, wishing to avoid the holiday traffic there on I-5. There were still bumper shooters wandering the streets of the Seattle Center as we made our way home through there. Upon getting to the house, I had to watch some of the throwback race there at Darlington. I got through about halfway through before I had to put off the remainder until Labor Day. I had followed the race on my phone while I was in Rochester, so I wasn't disappointed when I saw the race was won by Cousin Carl, Mr. Ed, in the number 19 Joe Gibbs Toyota. I was pleased to see that Dale Jr. got a top 10, but not pleased to see the Toads finish locked him into the top 30 and hence locked into the chase. We will see who finally does and who does not make the chase this Saturday at Richmond, or should I say when I watch the recording of the race on Sunday, because being the crazy race fan that I am, I will probably be at a stock car race somewhere. You know, the West Coast Street Stocks, they will be having their points finale and will crown a champion this Saturday night at Yakima Speedway. And that is very tempting to head over there. But I had so much fun at South Sound, I might return for their 100-lap super late model feature that they're having, which comes with another chance to see Kevin the Warrior Conway race in his legend car once again. I'm pretty sure I won't be going to Evergreen, as I see there is no racing on their schedule for this Saturday. And I understand folks are still licking their wounds after Saturday night's Wreckfest won by Donnie Wannick. Hopefully everybody will be ready for the season finale on the 19th out there at Evergreen, 19th of this month. I also hear that there will be a big race at Wenatchee this weekend, late models. So that could be fun if you happen to like that track. So there will be racing to see this weekend, but your chances are shrinking, folks, as the weeks click off. So don't wait. Don't wait until you can't go. Don't waste time. As you know, just go see a race this weekend. The Fall Classic will be here before you know it, and then there ain't no racing up here. So get out there this weekend. The weather looks great for racing around here at South Sound and out at Yakima. So, go. Don't forget to take a friend. And whether it is at Yakima or South Sound or someplace else, you know that I'll be out there someplace. Why? Because I'm a race fan. And I am StockCar Scott. And this is In the Pits. Thank you very much for watching. Say howdy to me, folks, if you happen to see me at the track. And introduce yourself, please. But until then, until next week, folks. Thanks again for watching.